Hey everybody, Judy Seeger here, back with the Ozone Therapy Summit. I'm hosting this week for a wonderful, wonderful week of top-notch experts who are teaching you all about what ozone therapy is, how it's used, whether it's for a health condition, whether it's for dentistry, whether it's for our furry friends. We've had an awesome, awesome lineup. Hope you guys have been able to hop on and watch. And so we are on the last day where we have our wonderful, wonderful expert, Sandi Bronkema, who is affectionately called the Ozone Lady. Sandi, thank you so much for being on here today.
Thank you for having me. I am very happy I'm here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm really happy that you're here too. We don't have the video on you, but we do have your picture, so we could see what you look like. That's cool. And see that you look like a happy camper, and that's always a good thing.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So Sandi has been in this whole industry for about 9 years as a coach and as a trainer. That's right, Sandi?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And you have a story to tell about why you got into this. So first off, we want to have you share that, if you would. And then we'll get into talking today about your specialty, which is training people on how to use ozone generators, what the differences are. This is ozone generators to be used at home. And so we are so excited that you're going to be here teaching all the different things about the safety, which is a big issue, of course, everybody has, how it is to set up. Is it simple? Is it hard? And all the other things that go along with this. So I'm just excited to get into this because we have known each other for a couple of years now. And I love working with you and having you train the people. They all say, wow, Sandi made it so easy. And I'm like, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool. Okay, Sandi, so first off, let's get your background. Who are you and why did you get into ozone therapy?
Well, I first contacted Lyme disease back in 1987, and so did my husband. And I went on a journey to find help. And I had heard about ozone and what it could do. I was really interested in finding a place I could get some treatments. And I ended up finding a location outside of Washington, D.C., and received my first treatment. And I finally felt well. That's a long time to be sick. And I was thrilled. By then I had was in a Lyme community. A lot of people I knew were sick. And I wanted to spread the word. So at this point, which is a lot of years later, I own 5 machines and I train people on 7 machines. Ozone generators, there is a lot out there. And I hope to make it a simple process for people. That is my goal.
Sure. Sandi, just to go back here, so you were diagnosed in 1987, and then how long were you suffering with the Lyme disease and all the symptoms?
Well, approximately in 2007-ish. That's really when things took off, and I finally had some direction. I had some testing done, some extended testing. Then I really knew what was wrong. Along with the Lyme, I had 5 co-infections. No wonder I felt awful. And so I really knew I needed to hit it hard. It had been a long time to be that chronically ill.
And then once you did the ozone therapy, how did you feel?
It was amazing. My brain cleared up. My immune system started to kick in. I had strength again. At that point, I was in a chair some of the time. I had a cane. It was pretty rough. And the application I received first actually was a dental with a combination of using an ear scope and some injections along the jawline. It was just amazing. It was a combination.
And people after the summit should know, and hopefully they'll be able to hear the dentist, the biological dentist, who explained that very connection you're talking about, that when you do things in the mouth, everything is connected to the rest of the body. So that makes perfect sense. That's great.
Yes. And I understand what it is to be fearful of that process. When I was first approached, they told me, you really need to do this. And it was do this, or they wanted to put a PICC line in for a long, long time. And I had already been on numerous antibiotics for many years. And so I went home. I was scared. I understand not being well versed in that process. And so that helps me now when I first talk to people, oh, what's it all about? And how can you what kind of therapies are out there? And so I was just blessed to get in front of the right people at the right time, truly.
Yeah.
And I want to pass that on.
Yeah, that's really awesome. You really have a passion to help people, as I do, that we just want to see people well. That's the bottom line. We just want to see them get results and move on to the next level and eventually live the life that they're meant to live, not chronically sick. It's a horrible feeling. I know I was sick too, and it's not a good feeling. So I'm excited to have you teach them an overview. Of course, in this interview, we won't be able to go into a whole lot of detail, but we'll have information for them that they could contact you directly if they want further training. So anyone who's watching, thank you. Anyone who's listening, thank you for being on here. You will be able to contact Sandy if you have a specific question about your setup, how you're using it, all that stuff. Sandy is your go-to person for that. So we'll make sure that you guys get connected. All right, Sandy. So first off, we want to talk about the safety features. Safety is the big thing that everybody's the most concerned about because it does use outside oxygen. It has an oxygen tank with it, right? So walk us through briefly the safety features that people need to understand, that just because they have an oxygen tank in their home, the whole house is not going to explode, right? We've got some safety features that or you teach specifically. I know, I feel like we're always talking and.
Absolutely.
All right, Sandy. So let's talk about the safety of the oxygen tank first and put people's mind at ease.
Yeah, there's different places to get your tank, and that is really one of the issues also. But when that is taken care of, they bring the oxygen into their home. I always make them really think ahead. Where will you be doing, where will you be using your generator? Where will you be doing your therapies or that type of thing? Or your water, where would you be making your water? I want them to be able to walk into a room and know that their equipment is safe and secure. I make sure that they know how to open a tank properly, that their regulators, each tank has a different kind of regulator, that it is on properly, how they know if there's any leaks. And then when they leave that tank, make sure that the lines are clear so there's no oxygen anywhere escaping, that their valves are totally turned off. Those are a lot of the issues. I really try and get them, it's like second nature. It is never an issue. The more you can get comfortable with the tank, knowing it's not going to explode, and putting it in a safe area. I make sure the tank is attached, if possible, to like a desk or something so it will not fall over. And making sure that they are thinking where they're going to be having the process done in front of a window. Always have a window. Always have one that opens. And I'm a fanatic about a fan, not a ceiling fan, a fan strong enough to be pushing the ozone out of the window immediately, so you don't have to worry about that type of thing.
Right. And just common sense wise, I mean, I email people back all the time as well and just tell them, I said, don't put it next to your heat source. Some of our European friends over there have small apartments and a major heat source. And it's like, don't put the tank next to the heat source and don't put in direct sunlight. It's just common sense stuff. Like you don't want it in anywhere near heat, right? But it's pretty foolproof. I mean, think about all the people who have anything from COPD to upper respiratory issues, and they use their portable oxygen tank. They're fine. It's pretty much foolproof as long as, like you say, they're just putting it somewhere safe in their house.
Exactly. And heat, keep it away from a heater source, any flames. I mean, if you really think it through, when I first speak to people, I discuss that right up front. What are you thinking? Where are you going to do it? And it's okay to move it around. Once you have it in the first area you are going to use it, and you know how to keep everything connected and clean. I talk about the hygiene of the equipment and your tubing. It truly is simple. It really is a simple process. And it's kind of funny because the end result is, I never would have realized how easy this is and how fast this is. I thought it was really a complex thing to do, and it truly is not.
No, and that's the whole thing. People think it's complex, but it really isn't. So just walk us through briefly so we kind of have an idea of what the setup is, right? I mean, they have the regulator, the generator, tubing, and just for a basic setup, what do you say to people to walk them through for that?
Well, I talk to them about where it's going to be at, make sure things are secure. I try and have them think about, like, for instance, what they're going to be using. If they're going to be doing a lot of water, I try and have them bring the generators up from their workspace. I do not want them to have any spills. I want them to disconnect their tubing to make sure that there's no back moisture of any kind that can get into the generator. So I walk them in. Let's walk ourselves through this. Walk in the door, turn on the light. What is the first thing you do? Walk over, open the window, and turn on your fan. I try and get them to procedurally get that down. Each unit is different. Some are very simple. Some have additional knobs and additions to really bring the strength of that ozone up. A lot of the simple units are directed by oxygen flow only, so that makes it really simple. And so it's connecting the oxygen tank to the generator, making sure your fan is on, discussing what you're interested in doing. I start people out with water first. A lot of them, that's really the first thing they want to try, which makes sense. And then I bring them through, opening the tank, closing the tank. I'm a fanatic about that. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. Do not forget that. So when you leave that area, it's all good. You do not have to worry about it.
That's so easy, right? And it really is. People call me up all the time and say that is so easy. And I'm like, yeah, that's what we've been saying. But because it's new and because we're using oxygen as a tank, people get really, really nervous about it. But we're trying to put you guys at ease. And it's like, by the time you put the tubing on in 10 minutes, you're all set, ready to go. But it's just explaining that to them. So let's talk about the different generators. There's all different kinds. And we want to talk about the generators that people can typically get for next to nothing on, let's say, Amazon, that does not have the oxygen tank with it, right? Versus what we're talking about, which is what has oxygen attached to it. What's the main difference there, Sandy?
Well, you're using the room air. You've got an oxygen and nitrogen mix. You really do not want to use that type of formula for any applications that you will be using. Those units are more to remove minor toxins and pathogens, food sources, that type of thing, and their gamma or strength is very small. It is very minute. I do not advise that at all for any applications that you will be consuming of any, it'll be an extremity bag application or an insufflation. Those gammas and that mixture of that oxygen is getting into your system. So you want to use the cleanest source. You want oxygen only to be mixed. And so, and in your measurement, there's no way of measuring the exact gamma, and you want the measurement to be as close to your target as possible.
So the output on the generators that have the oxygen tank with it is, first of all, is much more, and the power of it, the purity of the ozone is going to be much better also, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
So let's talk about that, Sandy, because I know you start getting it. I'm watching you to make sure you don't get too technical on us, but you said something already about gamma. So explain that. What are people looking for when they're looking at generators? Because people, of course, like to go shopping and look around what's out there. What do they need to be looking for as far as gamma? And first of all, what is gamma specifically? And then what do they need to be looking for?
It is the strength of your ozone. That's what you get. It's your end result when you put the oxygen into the generator. And a lot of things go into making a decision about what type of generator. They have a lot of really easy ones out there, and a lot of companies. It has changed a lot since I started doing it. I bought dual cell originally, which means you can up your gamma. Sometimes you can do a couple things at the same time, which is really not necessary, but you can, if you're doing special things with that unit, your strength is a lot higher. The units, the easy units now, there's no dials, it's very simple. You turn on the unit. Some have to wait 20 seconds, some you have to wait 30 seconds. Some you start the oxygen first. Each unit is a little bit different, but the concepts are the same. Your mixture of oxygen, your liters per minute, actually regulates your gamma output.
So wait a minute, now break that down. So liters per minute, that's what's coming from the oxygen tank, correct?
Correct.
So you're talking about 1/4, wait, what is it? 1/8, 1/4, 1/2, 1/16.
Correct.
Remember my fraction. So they set that on the oxygen tank. There's something called a regulator on there. And then that goes into the generator, which actually creates the ozone, correct?
Correct. And if you're using a regulator for ozone applications, you have to get what is called a pediatric regulator.
Why is that?
Because the other regulators do not break down the oxygen low enough. You need to go below 1 liter per minute, and a lot of these applications are 1/8, 1/16.
So what if you have another one? Is that a bad thing? Let's say they have an 870, I don't know, or another type of regulator. Are they not going to get the same effects?
Well, the 870 and the 540 will work because those are the type of regulators. But if they had just a regular, say for instance, somebody has been using oxygen at their home and they have their tank through an oxygen company, they either get them refilled, they bring the tanks in, or the company comes and drops off new tanks for them on a regular basis. They will have a regular oxygen regulator for that. the regulator will go, normally people are like 2 liters per minute or above that if they are using oxygen. Those regulators do not break down the liters per minute low enough, because you really do not use much oxygen when you're using an ozone generator. It uses very, very little. And that is another thing people are concerned with when they do receive their tanks. How long is this tank going to last? It lasts a long time. If
You're like, what's a long time? Like a week, a month, 2 months? Like,
well, it depends how they use it. How many times you make water, how many times you do an insufflation, and what gamma you're looking at. It depends. Some are about a quarter to around 35 gamma is kind of the norm, but a lot of these treatments you go to 1/8, some at 1/16. I mean, that is not much oxygen at all, and you're only using it for a very short period of time. Like, for instance, to fill an insufflation bag, I mean, 60 seconds to a little over that. It's so fast.
It's fast. And then once that, so from the oxygen tank to the generator, then we're looking at, because people ask all the time, what about cold plasma generators versus, I don't even know what else is out there. I know there's differences. Is that important to look at when they're looking at generators, trying to compare the different generators, how the ozone is made through that?
Well, yes, it is. And each ozone generator, I mean, they're all different, and I try not to pick and choose from different companies, but the ones that I have on my site, which are 7, they are all very good. They all have their strengths and maybe a couple weaknesses. Some have different add-ons that are very nice and convenient. Some have just a fabulous history, but they are all good. They will all accomplish what needs to be done.
Okay, well, the biggest issue, though, that people, as they're comparing the different generators and looking to see how much gamma one is putting out versus another, is really about getting the tank, right? And so we need to cover that, because people are like, well, where do I get my tank? And it's not that hard, right? So how do you normally walk people through as far as getting their tank, their oxygen tank?
Well, I have them contact a local welding company or diving company. There's actually some other companies out there, or if they have a script from a physician, they actually can use that oxygen company and use that tank, and then all they need to purchase is the appropriate regulator for the oxygen flow. They just need to add that on.
Yeah, it's not really hard at all. They just call up the welding supply company and tell them they need their tank, fill it up. Usually renting it is the easiest we found, right? I mean, that's been across the board. It's just not a problem, it seems.
Yes, and some will not rent. You have to buy. Everybody is different.
That's true. Right.
It is amazing, and there's pluses to both sides of that. But each company, I've tried to figure out why that is.
I know we haven't figured out the pattern yet. From one end of the United States to the other, we've had a gap.
Amazing. Yes. And
reason.
I think they are getting more educated. There's a lot of water issues going on. There's a lot of illness out there.
Yeah.
There is a lot of toxins going on. So
well, typically we tell them go get it for ozonating your water, which actually is true. Right. And a big thing is now people are ozonating for homebrewed beer.
Yes, I have not.
And so, yeah,
touched base on that, but I will be.
Company, hey, I'm making my home brew and I need some oxygen. So they know right away what kind of oxygen you need, and you're good to go. It's kind of funny, right?
Yes, Brilliant. I love that. Very good. I try and get people really thinking and understanding what they are wanting to do. That makes it so much easier. Let's, take the mystery out. Let's think this through. Are you in a rural area? How long, will you be using it there? Some people are traveling. Okay, I'm going to use a unit for 2 weeks here, and I'm going to be in another state. If you do have some relationships with some of the bigger oxygen companies, you can actually leave your tank at home and get another tank where you're going to be, say if you're a snowbird or something.
These are tricks of the
It
trade, Sandy.
is, yes, years of experience here.
Yeah, for sure. So let's walk through some of the other cool things you do as a trainer for people who have their ozone therapy units or want to get one, and they are a little bit lost as far as the whole procedure. So you have a very cool procedure as far as login, calendar, and all that kind of stuff. So why don't you share with us some of those training tips that you typically do?
Well, I have them first think about where things will be, and then what kind of unit, okay, where they're going to get their oxygen. And then I try and get them into some really good logging habits. I have I have a little sheet, a real nice presentation about what date it is and what application you're using, how many gammas, how much oxygen you're using, and to keep a log using that tool. It's a great learning
You
tool.
actually provide the log though for
I
them, right?
do. I
When
give
they
them the
train with
log.
you, yeah, that it's really cool. Like it's so simple techie, and you're not even techie, so that's what's
I'm not techie, but I can run a generator.
that's a good point, right?
And
So
it's
so
very,
you have this whole chart for them that they could log in and they could keep notes of how things are going, right?
right. And that is how I learned. I have years and years of logs. And I am so glad that I was trained that way and learned that way, because it's a journey. You're learning, something very new, and you're going to be telling your friends and family. And so you can go back and say, see, this is what I did. They'll say, why do you feel so good? Well, I can't remember what I did, but it was great, but now they can go back and say, okay, I used this machine. I was at this oxygen, liters per minute. It generated this many gammas, and I felt this way. It's just a wonderful tool. I also have them try and start with a calendar and then mark when you do your treatments. Everybody wants to accomplish something else with their journey using ozone. So, do I want to do it 3 times a week? What did I use? So it's kind of a check mark or whatever. And then you get into a pattern, and it becomes a lifestyle. It's a forever thing.
And that's what helps when they chart it and they could see what days they're doing what, and then they log the actual information of what they're doing. They not only obviously feel better, but they could see the pattern, and they feel better that they're following a procedure.
Yes, it gets you in a good habit. It's very motivating. And you have to remember numbers and all that. So you don't have to. You just look at it and say, okay, that's what I did. And again, it is amazing. Once you start doing this, that is why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I keep talking about it. You want to spread the word. You want to tell people how wonderful it is and how it can help them.
And then have the proof and say, here, not only do I look good, but here's the proof. Sandy, so I know the question comes up all the time. Do you train, do you come to people's homes? Do you fly? Do you do it on the phone? How do you do the training?
All of the above. I do a little bit of everything. I have 5 ozone generators in my home, and I bring people to my house. I show them. I really think it helps them a lot to see it, touch it, and see the tanks. I have tanks all over my house, and
Now talk about safety features. Here you have
right.
how many tanks, and you haven't
10.
blown up your family yet.
I
So
have not. I actually have setups in my vehicles. I will set it up in the back of my
how do you do the
vehicle.
vehicles with the oxygen though?
Oh, you just secure it. Just secure it properly. Make sure it truly is. I mean, I was a little nervous at first. It truly is safe. I don't leave it in the car, in the
Oh, so
middle
you
of
take it with
summer.
you. Gotcha. Okay.
I don't leave it in the car in the middle of the winter. I have a setup, a mobile little setup, one of my units, and I just grab my tank. Everything's connected, couple minutes, and there I am. I've done trainings in driveways.
You've done it
So,
all. And so you train, I know you train in clinics because sometimes the docs want you to train them. And then when people call you, you actually could be on the phone and walk them through the whole procedure also, correct?
correct. Everybody has, different abilities, and like Zoom or, FaceTime, or they just send me pictures. I mean, whatever. I've done it all, and it works. Um, I'm getting pretty busy, so I might be doing things a little bit differently, more group ideas, which is good because I like that. They help each other.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I have a group coming actually next week.
So you're talking group, meaning they come to your house,
Hmm.
10, 20 people, whatever, and
Hmm.
then you train them and you just show them how it's set up. And then that's it. Now, do you find after you've done a training like that, that people are still lost after, or like, how do they feel after training with you?
I I think they get it. I really feel I will make sure you get it. It is. I will. It is
That's true.
very.
That's you.
It
Yeah.
is very important to me. I will not leave you hanging. I do not know it all. I am not a doctor. I have just been doing this a long time.
And
And
you
if I
actually were
do,
trained though by Dr. Frank Schallenberger, right?
yes, I did go to the training. I have an ozone therapy certificate.
Along with a lot of other training. I mean, you've really gone the mile. So that's what I wanted people to know, Sandy, is that it doesn't mean that it's going to take 6 months for someone. I've never even heard you say it takes 6 months for them to get the hang of this, right? So
No,
roughly a few training sessions, either in person or on the phone or Zoom or something, Skype, something like that, and they pretty
right.
much hit the ground running, and then they're good to go, right?
Correct.
But the
I
key is that you're teaching them safely with the proper procedures using this little system.
absolutely. It is. I launched them very well prepared to continue to learn. This isn't the end. This is the beginning. And they are so excited, like, oh, I'm going to try this, I'm going to try that. And I love that when the light comes on, I can see it whether I'm in person with you or not. I feel it. They get it. They got it.
Yeah.
And we stay connected. I love doing that. I'll hear from them down the road, or I'm expanding my site. I will be sharing more and more things. I will continue doing this forever. This is what I do.
Well, because you healed yourself of Lyme's and I mean, you sound like $1,000,000. Do you feel like $1,000,000?
I feel like $1,000,000.
All right, then. So that's between the ozone, nutrition, detox, everything else. So you've put it together, figured it out, and of course you want to help others now. And that passion is there. You could hear it. And what my hats off to you for respect is that you really figured it out and now have this procedure that is super easy to follow. So it's not that hard, but people need to start off on the right foot. We don't want them starting off on the wrong foot.
And I have stories. I mean, that does happen. I will receive a call with somebody who's just purchased a unit, and I mean, it makes me crazy. It's sad. And I'm like, no, no, no. Okay, we are relearning everything. We're going to open the box. And they're so grateful. Sometimes they're in tears, or they're like, I'm not doing this. I'm going to, because they didn't know. They did not receive direction. and I know what that's like. So
yeah. Well, the
that's not
problem
going
is
to
that the
happen.
manufacturers, I mean, think about it. If you order something from Amazon, and I'm picking on Amazon because they're Amazon and they could take it. And manufacturers or anybody working with Amazon, you don't talk, who do you talk to for customer support?
Correct.
Nobody. There is nobody out there. It's here's the product. You're on your own. Good luck. Oh wait, there's no directions in there. Sorry, right? So with units that I have taught to use, it's we have the customer support. I tell them, go to Sandy. She'll show you how to set it up and you'll feel confident. You'll know what to do, right? Because that's the bottom line is there's nobody to talk to anymore with this stuff. So your ability to break it down into procedure, show them how to use their particular generator. And of course, you're very experienced, well-versed in all these different generators. It's a no-brainer for you to know how to teach them. But for them, they just need somebody to walk them through, hold their hand the first time so that they're good to go after.
Absolutely. And I want them to understand everything because they're going to be learning, they're going to continually learn. And there's other machines out there, there's other generators. So their generator might not be exact. The settings are slightly different, or the gamma, the end results is a little bit different than who you're learning from. I really try and teach them to pay attention to the oxygen flow and the gamma, the end result. It doesn't matter. Each machine's a little bit different. And some do have wonderful training videos out there. They do. And I receive calls from people that even have purchased those units. It's still a little bit of a personal connection. Somebody who's been there, done that. It's different than calling the companies sometimes and hearing it from somebody. They're very well versed, but again, it's not like, somebody's been doing it a long time. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
You just need to hear sometimes from an expert such as yourself, or even every house is different. I know that some people want to put in their basement, some people want to put it in their little tiny bathroom, and you walk them through everything. Every scenario I've thrown at you, you've taken it and helped walk them through. And that's very reassuring.
Thank you. And it's just thinking that too. I want them to think about it. I ask them, okay, what are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Some people do it in their bathrooms. And okay, I want my tank moved, or I want the unit, you don't want the unit to get moisture. Let's think this through. Where is that fan going to be? That fan over the commode is not good enough.
Well, and that's why in this brief overview, we've given people the opportunity to understand that there are many different scenarios. Some people live in small apartments, some people live in big houses, and everybody's a little bit different. But at least to give everybody an overview that, look, depending on the generator, you go get your oxygen tank, you go understand how to put the regulator on, and then get going on it. But when you need to have a safety procedure, you've walked us through to understand the safety part and to log it and to just kind of monitor it. So people could hear that it's not that difficult. But if people want to go that extra step and say, you know what, I'm ready to talk to somebody, they could call you and set up a time and have you walk them through, so that in 1 or 2 sessions, maybe more, I don't think it's even takes that much more, but maybe 1 or 2 sessions where they get the exact way for them how to set it up.
Exactly. Everybody's abilities are different. I can pretty much tell, say, what they understand, what they have to work with. Hey, I don't text, or I don't Zoom, or I don't, okay, we're going to be on the phone. That's fine. But I can tell kind of from that initial consult which direction we're going to know and how many trainings we're going to need.
Sandy, how techie do people have to be? Like how much technical skills do they have to set this up?
Zero. Really, it is that simple. You are connecting some tubing. And they're very simple. There's connectors or Lear locks. I mean, it is really very simple.
Okay.
I can connect a machine in seconds. Seconds.
But you've been doing this for a while, right? So
Right. But it really is. I am telling you, the end result, and I hear it all the time, is after we're all done the last time I speak to them or whatever at the tail end of the training, they're like, this really wasn't that hard. And they laugh. They're like, yeah, got this.
but the biggest challenge then, would you say, is that they just want to make sure it's set up in the right location in their house? Or is it that they've got their tubing and their tank and the regulator all set up correctly? What do you find is their biggest concern when they're putting this all together?
It truly is the location.
Okay.
I think it really is, because there has to be a fan, and the fan has to be directed towards the window, and you really want it to be able to brush over the generator just ever so slightly if there are any fumes, that type of thing. If you're doing an application that's directly attached, you need a chair there. So it really is thinking that through. And a lot of them, it's bless their heart, they'll send me pictures, and I'm like, no, let's tweak that and move that. And they're like, okay, I got it. Bam. Okay, we got this. And then
Everybody could take a picture just about, right?
oh yeah, absolutely. And then they get it. And then they're like, well, I'm going to bring it to my mother's, or I'm bringing it to my cabin, or I'm bringing this on vacation. And I can do this now, and it doesn't matter where they're at. End of story. The tank's safe. Their lines are clear. The fan's there, and they're good to go.
There you go. Well, that's awesome. I'm so happy that we had this chance to have you on here, Sandy, to reassure people that it's not hard to get the oxygen tank, not hard to set up. But if you just want to do it with somebody who's been there, done that, and knows every generator on the market, you're the Ozone lady.
Well, thank you. I will help for sure. I love doing it.
Yeah, awesome. So thank you for watching, and thank you for your time on here, Sandy. Really appreciate you. I know you're a busy lady. You've got lots and lots of calls and lots of training going on, but appreciate your time. And for those of you watching, appreciate you guys as well. Those of you who want to contact Sandy and saying, hey, this is exactly what I've been needing, then there will be contact information for you that you could get a hold of Sandy. And then her website is here too. You could see it on the screen, justbecause.com. Just is spelled J-A. Spell it right. Just, J-S-T-B-E-A-U-S-E. So it's a little bit quirky, but don't worry about it. We will have this on the site. Yeah. And make sure that you guys get connected. And if worst comes to worst, contact me and I'll make sure, absolutely sure you guys get connected. It's not a problem, and get you directly to Sandy. So
thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. And those viewers who are on here and listeners, thank you again. And please listen to the other speakers to learn more about the power of ozone, whether it's for yourself, whether it's for a loved one, whether it's for your furry pet, your teeth, doesn't matter what it is. Ozone with detox is a powerful combination that we want you to learn more about. So watch the speakers and take your time and watch them over the weekend. We're going to be having the replay for you guys, so it's all there for you. Those of you who'd like to purchase, of course, it will be available as well. So we are all there, got you covered every which way. We will see you on the next interview. Take care. Bye-bye.